Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cohn and Krueger. Wait. There it is. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We weren't here last week. Took the week off. It was a short week. We alternate channels weekly. So next week we'll be on Larry's channel. This week's show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. At Mint, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Ditch overpriced wireless and their jaw-dropping monthly bills, unexpected overages, and hidden fees. Plans start at $15 a month at Mint. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/Cohn. That's mintmobile.com/Cohn. Upfront payment of $45 required. It's the equivalent of $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. I think this is the perfect segue for what we're talking about today. Mint Mobile making its competitors nervous because it can do their job for much cheaper. Which brings me to the 49ers. Larry, do you think Brock is nervous? Do you think Brock is watching Mac Jones go on this little run right now and thinking, uh-oh?
You know what? I think he probably is feeling like I should get in there. I should get in there. I might need to get in there. That would be my. That's probably.
Isn't that what he was thinking in Jacksonville against Jacksonville?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he should be thinking. Well, I don't know if he should be thinking that, but I'll say this: Mac Jones is playing really well in this offense, and he does look like a hand-to-glove fit for this offense, which was what was said going into that 21 draft. I didn't buy it then. I should have bought it. I didn't. But I'll say this: he looks really good now, and if the way he played in LA is the way he's going to play, yeah, there's going to be a quarterback competition for sure.
I would be nervous if I were him, and because Mac doesn't have to be as good as Brock. Mac just has to show that he can run the offense as well as Brock for a lot cheaper. And through 3 games, he has shown just that. Like he hasn't shown he's a better quarterback than Brock because there's things Brock can do that Mac can't. Right. But at least for now, he's playing better than Brock, and he's doing it for what? I can't do the math in my head, but it's just a tiny little fraction of what Brock's getting paid. Anytime someone shows that they can do your job for a fraction of your salary, it's got to make you nervous. It's got to.
I mean, these things don't really have anything to do with each other, right? It's like the Niners made their decisions and about contracts independent of Mac Jones. Mac Jones's career is independent of Brock Purdy's contract. But now they're a combo platter because they're on the same team. But the bottom line on this is that Mac Jones played very well. He's a good processor. He played a very clean game, very mistake-proof, free game. And that's really his advantage. If you say, does Mac have an advantage on Brock? Brock's got an advantage on Mac. He knows the offense better. He moves better. But Jones's advantage on Brock is that he doesn't take as many shots down the field outside the numbers as Brock does, but he's taken a better care of the football. And that's a vitally important thing in professional football, is that taking care of the ball. So I would say that's what Mac's got on Brock. He's taken better care of the ball.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that this situation isn't going away. Like Mac signed through next season, and we know that the Niners made a big commitment to Brock Purdy, but they can get out of this contract relatively pain-free after next season. So it seems like these two quarterbacks are going to be linked. And if Brock gets injured, throws a bunch of picks, and everyone's going to, Mac will be waiting, and Mac will need to play well and stay healthy too. They could go back and forth. But at the end of 2026, it seems like the Niners will have a decision to make.
Oh, it's going to be before that, Grant, because you're saying at the end of next year. And I understand exactly what you mean because they've got Mac under contract for next year. But don't you think after Mac, it looks to me like Mac's going to get an extended run here. We know Daniel Jones is the guy in Indy. These are reclamation project quarterbacks. I think when the league sees Daniel Jones do his thing, and if Mac continues to play the way he's playing, the 49ers are going to get a very attractive offer this offseason going into next year, and they're going to have to decide what's more important or what's more valuable, I guess. Mac, at $7 million for 26 and having a number 2 quarterback who you can win with, or whatever he's going to bring in trade.
Or, depending on how Mac does down the stretch, they could trade Brock, which again would make me nervous. I know Brock Purdy has a no trade clause in his contract, but if the Niners go with Mac, he would probably request a trade. So look, it's been 3 games, and I'm getting a little excited.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, things are happening. It's exciting, but
things move fast in the NFL.
I just feel like Brock, if he's sitting there, he's got nothing to do. He's got a bunch of idle moments. Maybe his mind wanders down into the future of the potential outcomes that he could be facing that are completely out of his control right now.
The best news I've seen this week is when we went to practice on Monday, Brock Purdy was not practicing. You know, if Brock Purdy's ever going to get right this year from that toe, he can't practice. He can't just, it's not just like, well, just don't play in the games and you'll be fine. No, you got to get him off his toe, off his feet, not at practice. And, you know, it's going to kill him. I don't know how he's going to do it. He's such a competitive guy. He wants to be out there so bad. But I mean, if you're really going to shut him down for an extended period of time, and Brian Baldinger said it today. He said, "Hey man, I'd ride the hot hand. I would too. I'd go with Jones for the next month, and I'd let that toe quiet down." But I mean, is Brock going to be on board with that? I mean, this is going to test people's patience, and the person most notably is Brock.
Yeah, I mean, why did Brock play in that game against Jacksonville? He clearly wasn't 100% healthy. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Either he rushed back or the team rushed him back or both. Is it because Mac won that surprising game against division rival Cardinals and Brock said, you know what, let's end this right now? Or was it the 49ers saying we can't beat the Jaguars without Brock? We will never know. But if Mac beats the Buccaneers this Sunday, my goodness, I think Brock's palms will get a little sweaty, just a little clammy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know what you think, and I don't know what you've said about this, but we, as you said, we don't have the answers. Mm-hmm. But if you ask me, what do I think happened? I think Brock played himself, and John and Kyle said, "Okay." I don't think they said, "Get out there." I think he said, "I want to get out there. I want to lead my team. I want to be the guy." And I don't think it was a smart decision on his part. I think he needs to rest, and that's not what he wants to do right now. But I think his body's betraying him.
All right, let me ask you this. We've seen 3 games with Mac on the 49ers. He's done well so far. It's been 3 games. But if you had to point to one thing that he's doing or he's done in these 3 games that's been the most impressive thing to you, what would you say that is?
Well, you know, you can say, hey, this guy's a good processor, but to see it, I think is really his most impressive trait. Because, like, there's guys that are bigger, guys that move better, guys that have better arms, but it's it's what he has. He has the same trait that Brock has. They're great processors. They get to the back of their, you know, the top of the drop. They put their foot in the ground. They know what they're going to do. They're not surveying the field at that point. They know what they're going to do. And Jones knows what he's going to do. He's playing on time. He's playing smart. I thought he showed plenty of arm strength to make plays down the field outside the numbers. And yet he's not quite he's not as aggressive as Brock. He's more of a take what the defense gives you. But I like that. I like his processing ability and how decisive he is. So many of the throws are underneath throws, but if a guy's going to be real decisive at the top of his drop and he's going to throw short, man, I mean, a lot of times he's gotten himself into a good rhythm. Grant, on the toughest days, I mean, we saw Mac Jones get into a good rhythm on the joint practice day against Denver. He was in a good rhythm when Brock was really struggling that day. And Mac got himself in a good rhythm Thursday night on the road against the Rams. So he's a rhythm passer, but I think he's good at getting himself in a rhythm by taking what the defense gives him and being real decisive.
I find it impressive that he's only thrown 1 pick in 129 pass attempts. Now, yeah. Alex Smith used to do stuff like that, but Mac Jones isn't playing like Alex Smith. No offense to Alex. Alex used to be overly cautious and careful. Whereas I think Mac's letting it fly. I think he's throwing with anticipation where Alex didn't. So that's very impressive to me. I think the other thing that's impressive is how quickly he's getting the ball out of his hands. Jimmy used to do that, but with Jimmy, it felt like he was just throwing to his first read regardless. And if the guy was open, he'd throw a pick and look at Kyle like, you said he was going to be open. It really seems like Mac is processing and going through multiple reads, but still managing to get the ball out of his hands in about 2.5 seconds on average most of the time, which is refreshing because Brock really doesn't do that as much anymore. When he does that, he's great. I have the numbers this year. His splits are ridiculous. When he gets rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less, his quarterback rating is like 128, 3 touchdowns, no picks. When he holds it longer this year, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. And I'm thinking maybe 2-3 injuries. It seems like bad things are happening the longer he holds the ball. I don't know if he's trying to be Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, but he's literally holding the ball longer than them. And I think last year we noticed it and said, why? And thought, well, people aren't open. He's forced to do this. Now Mac is showing people that he's not forced to do this. And I think it's putting a little bit of pressure on Brock to play like Mac.
Yeah, no, I think Purdy looked better early when he would just take what the defense gave him and played, more like a distributor. He's hunting the big play, I think, a little bit more now the last couple of years, holding the ball a little bit longer. It puts pressure on the defense, which is a good thing, but it also can lead to some hugely negative plays, and at times it has. The one thing from watching the JT O'Sullivan breakdown of Mac Jones against the Rams, I thought the one observation that he had that was genius was that he said that Jones is doing a nice job all throughout that game at having his feet lined up to his first read. So
quick tennis player.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And his feet were lined up to his first read. So he's like he's not committing to his first read, but he's literally doing everything except for releasing the ball, and then if it's there, he's releasing it. So I think Brock is holding the ball a little bit more. I think that can be to his advantage at times, but it's all harder to get in a rhythm when you hold the ball longer and move around and create. It was more difficult for the Niners in the 90s to get into a rhythm with Steve Young than it was with Joe Montana. Why? Because Joe was in the pocket. You kind of knew where he was going to operate from, and we're Young and now Purdy, move around a little bit. And it's not a negative necessarily, but it can be.
In different games, different opponents call for different styles of quarterbacking. Like against the Rams in this particular game, I don't think they would have won with Brock Purdy trying to hold the ball a long time. I think a key to that game was getting rid of the ball as quickly as possible to negate that pass rush, because that's as good of a pass rush as there is in the league. And Mac, I think his time to throw on average in that game was 2.5 or 2.4, which was required. I'm sure that was the game plan. So I'm not saying Brock can't do it. We know he can do it. He just needs to do it more when he gets back, especially now that the injuries are piling up.
When you want to avoid sacks, I mean, you're going up against one of the most volatile fronts in football. He was hit 10 times, but he was only sacked once. And the other thing that I think that I didn't realize about Jones is Jones, even though I thought of him as a total statue, he has movement ability within the pocket that the great pocket passers all have.
Yep. And final point, and then we'll move on. As long as the Niners have Christian McCaffrey on their team and he's this good of a receiver, throwing the ball, checking the ball down is always a great decision. And throwing a bunch of picks while Christian's on the field doesn't really make sense to me, because you should never be forcing passes. You can always dump it down to Christian and let him be special as a receiver. And I think that's what Mac's doing. It's what Jimmy did for those 4 games when Christian was here. And it's what Brock used to do. I know he's showing us that he's a good athlete too, but not like Christian, man. Just let Christian be Christian.
Well, also, I don't know if you watched last night, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a good example of a quarterback that doesn't really see the field. And what I mean by that is there's like 2 or 3 times a game, Grant, where Trevor will like look somewhere where there's nobody, like there's no defenders there. Like you're anticipating somebody being there and there's nobody there. So he doesn't have a real good feel for where the defenders are. And I felt like Purdy had a real great feel for it early on, but as he has held the ball, there's times where like, did he not see that guy? Did he not see this guy? And I don't know if it's because Mac's 6'3", but he does have a good view of the field. And not only did he not turn the ball over, this game he only had one where he got away with it, but for the most part he's keeping the ball out of harm's way. So I kind of like the way he takes care of the football.
And what you said about Mac, what JT said about Mac, you think of him as being slow. Jimmy Garoppolo had such slow feet. almost like he was wearing boots. Mac actually sets up quickly in the pocket. He gets his feet underneath him quickly, like a tennis player. Because if you ever watched a tennis player, they're constantly reshuffling their feet so they're in position to hit the forehand or the backhand when the ball gets on them really, really quickly. Also, the ball gets out of his. I mean, his release is quick. It seems like he has a very quick abbreviated release and he can get something on it. So those are. I mean, I don't know. It seems like he's the quarterback the Patriots thought he would be.
I mean, he looks good. I would say, now granted, I think part of why he looks good is Shanahan's had some great calls, and CMC is an amazing player. So he's playing with better talent and a better supporting cast just with those two guys alone. Imagine what he would be if the 49ers could actually really pass protect and really, be a really strong line that could had a real strong running game, and you weren't in third and long a lot. I mean, this guy threw it 39 times, 41 times. I mean, it's not like they're running the ball and leaning very little on him. They're basically saying, Mac, carry us through these games, even on the road.
Yeah, SRT Unk 415 says, I want to see Mac with a legit run game. Yeah. I'd like to see Mac with George Kittle.
Yes.
Ayuk. I mean, there's a lot more out there. Delvin Thomas says, Grant Cohn, did you wake up with your hair that way? Why? Oh, did I? Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to grow it out a little bit. It's a little, I probably need to shampoo it or something. I'm going back and forth. I don't know what to do with it. Okay. I have a question for you. So the Niners are 4-1. They've pulled out some really impressive wins. They've beaten the Rams. They've beaten the Cardinals. Excuse me. Yes, they beat the Cardinals. They've beaten the Rams. They've beaten the Seahawks. I'm not sure the Niners are better than either team, but they've beaten them, and that's important. But what I want to ask you is, if you had to set up a power ranking in the NFC, where would you put the Niners? And I know you're not prepared for this question, but like, what tier are they in? Because they're currently the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, and they're not the best team in the NFC. I mean, I think there's potential there. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of everything evolves, right? Like if IU comes back, he's awesome. I mean, they're going to get better. If the Kittle comes back, he's awesome. They're going to get better. But I think they're the fourth team. I think that, I would probably have Philly 1, but some people could have Detroit 1. But I think those two are 1, 2. And then I would put Tampa next, and then I would put the Niners. I think I like the Niners more than Green Bay. I like the Niners more than the Rams, more than the Seahawks, more than the Commanders. But as far as NFC, I think it's Detroit and it's Philly and it's Tampa. I mean, Tampa is lost a ton of guys, really good players. A lot of their best players have been lost to injury. But Baker's playing like the MVP of the league. They drafted this Emeka Egbuka, who's not just one of the best rookies in the league, he's one of the best players in the league. And so, I mean, they're an incredibly difficult team to defend. And they still have some good players on defense, even though they lost Kalijah Cansey and they've got a slew of injuries. But I think the Niners could be with any of these teams. I think the Niners could go to Detroit, Philly, or Tampa in the playoffs and beat those teams. I really do believe that. But if I was being objective, and I will be for this, I have them as the fourth team out of those 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could go and beat any team. I think they're showing that they can beat teams that are better than they are. But without Bosa, just on paper, they kind of seem like a middle of the road team that's going to be in a lot of close games and could pull out lots of upsets. In retrospect, I don't think they're as good as Jacksonville. I think there's really no shame in losing to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's probably better than them. Maybe they beat him with Mac Jones, maybe not. And I think what's interesting, the Niners are 4-0 in their conference, 4-1 overall. But in terms of overall net points on the season, they're just +8. Philly's +16. Tampa's +3. Detroit's +62. Green Bay's +20. Seattle +21. Minnesota +26. Washington +33. Rams +16. Arizona +7. So there's a lot of teams that are competitive in the NFC, and it'll shake itself out. But yeah, I think the Niners still have a lot to prove.
They do. I mean, it was a great win, but I kind of think that McVay blew it, because McVay always gets into this, macho thing with Shanahan, and then he goes away from what he does better. I mean, there was a couple of years ago, the Niners, had 18 straight runs. It was a primetime game. It was like a Monday or Thursday. And instead of, the Rams' advantage was their passing game, but they just abandoned it and said, we're going to run Sony Michel because he wanted to get into this who's tougher, between the Niners and him and Shanahan and the Niners and the Rams. And I felt like the same thing happened here. It's 4th and 1, and you're going to run a sub 200-pound running back at Mikael Williams and Alfred Collins when you could have Stafford basically throw it to Puka on any number of different, routes. I mean, it's just, I think that was the gift horse right there that McVay always gets lured into this who's tougher thing with Shanahan. And that's not, I thought he misplayed his hand of cards.
I also felt that, and I don't say this very often, but I thought Kyle was a better motivator and leader than McVay. I thought Kyle had his team way more up for that game than McVay did. Kyle had, Mac Jones talking to him about the spread, telling everyone why are we not supposed to win this game? I mean, I love that from Kyle Shanahan. Meanwhile, I'm guessing Sean probably told his players, look, guys, just because Brock and Kittle and Bosa and Jennings and Pearsall aren't out there doesn't mean the Niners can't beat us. So let's give it our all. And I just don't think the Rams hurt him, and I don't think they really showed up until
Uh-oh. Did you freeze on? You freeze?
Hold on, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. I was gonna say you froze for a second. This happened to me. This happened to me last night, by the way. I froze
just
for a second. I got kicked out of my own stream. Only to find my way back in. Yeah, the streaming in the heat. There we go. Well, Grant will be back. But I mean, we were talking about the 49ers and the quarterbacks. I mean, I don't think they've got a quarterback issue, but they have 2 quarterbacks they can play. And will it become an issue? Well, it'll become an issue if Brock continues to miss games because of injury. There we go. And if Matt continues to play well in his place.
How about that?
Oh, gosh.
I think there was just too much hot takes going on. The hotness of the takes just overloaded the circuits.
There you go.
All right. So what was I saying? Bench Brock Purdy, give Mac Jones $300 million, fire Kyle.
And when you disappeared there, I was just talking about how, is it a quarterback controversy? Well, it's not, because one guy's being paid handsomely and everybody and the backup saying all the right things. But this is pro sports, and it doesn't get decided in the corner office. It gets decided on the field. And if Brock continues to be hurt and Matt continues to ball out, eventually it will be a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw this a few years ago with the Eagles. They paid Carson Wentz. 2 years later, he was on the Indianapolis Colts. Funny happened. I mean, the Niners traded half a decade's worth of first-round picks for Trey Lance and moved on within 2 years and 4 starts. There's nothing sacred.
Right, and it's all about who plays. Yeah. And and here's the other thing. To me, the most interesting part of this is the part that we never talk about, is that Mike Lombardi is pretty clued in, right? I mean, he works in the NFL. Okay, he's not my favorite analyst through the years, but whatever. He's clued in. I'll give him that. He was adamant that Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. And after Kyle said, "Hey, no, look, guys,
Mike Lombardi's son is Mac Jones' quarterback coach."
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also bizarre.
Uh-huh.
But even after Kyle said, "No, Lance was my guy," when Michael Lombardi was been asked about it, he's like, "No. Still, I don't care what he says. He's just saying that." So let's just assume, because since he was so cocksure about this, let's just say he was right. Let's say Shanahan really did want Mac Jones. If that is indeed the case, then don't you think Shanahan's probably walking around the office these days going, you know what? I'll do what I damn well please. You know what I mean? I'm the big you-know-what around here. I'm going to park my car horizontally. I'm going to show up whatever time I want. I mean, doesn't he have more? If he really did want this quarterback, and somebody else said, no, Kyle, you probably should go this other direction. And now he's got Mac Jones, and he's drawing up these game plans for Mac Jones. Don't you think Kyle's got to be on some level walking around the office going, this is what I envisioned? Or not? I don't know. I mean, what do you think is going on there?
I think that's probable. I'm guessing what's the most likely turn of events was they traded up. Kyle wanted Mac, or at least thought he wanted Mac, but it wasn't 100% up to Kyle. When you trade up and you make a pick like that, it's an organizational decision. And of course, he has a lot of say, but so does Jed York, so does John York, so does Denise, so does Adam Peters, so does John Lynch. And I'm guessing the person that wanted Mac Jones was Kyle. And I bet you most other people didn't, because most people don't freaking know quarterback. I can't scout quarterbacks. Kyle can't scout quarterbacks, but he knows what fits his system. And I think he said, I want Mac. And I think the rest of the organization said, absolutely not. And the fan base said, absolutely not. And I think the Yorks probably said, hey, Kyle, it would be very unpopular for you to trade up for Mac Jones. Why don't you take someone else, anyone else? And Kyle's like, okay. And he was probably swayed against his will. But I don't want to give Kyle too much credit, because if he had been really adamant, maybe he would have made a better argument to the organization, gotten them to see it from his perspective. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe deep down he just didn't have the deep down belief,
conviction,
and so he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to fight my entire organization. The owner wants this guy, the scouting department wants this guy, everybody else wants this guy. I'm going to go along with it. I probably have better job security if I go along with it. I don't know. I mean, if you have a conviction and you're really good at personnel, there's no way you give that pick away. But if you don't have the conviction, maybe you do. But I'm just saying, now here we are. It's 2025. Now he's got Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is doing a lot of the things that Kyle Shanahan wants in his quarterbacks. He wants them to throw with anticipation. He wants them to take care of the football. He wants them to read coverage. He wants them to be his brain on the field. And it's hard to find guys like that. Well, he may have found a really, really smart processor here, maybe a couple of them. And now it's a matter of who's going to work out long term. I don't know.
I don't know that Mac Jones was mature enough as a rookie, the way Purdy was, to step into this locker room, this huddle, and take over. That was very unique.
I agree.
And impressive from Brock. I think maybe Mac needed to go to New England, get humbled a little bit, see how hard it can be. Because now it seems like he can lead this team. They accept him in the locker room. They accept him in the huddle in a way they never accepted Trey Lance. And his leadership is effective at 26 after going through what he went through. So maybe
it's amazing.
They needed to take this route.
You know, to that end, and there was a play in this thing that JT O'Sullivan highlighted. It was the play there he threw a slant to Bourne, and Bourne just flat out dropped it. It was like Bourne's only drop of the night. And he's like, look at the film. Look at Mac. Instead of doing one of these or like Rodgers does or one of those, he ran to Bourne to like high five him and lift him off the ground to be like, hey, you'll get the next one. You'll get the next one. And it's like, that sounds kind of like hokey high school Harry stuff, but it ain't. And that's, leadership is a tough thing. And it looks like this guy, believe it or not, is asserting some leadership as a backup quarterback on a team that doesn't know him that well. It's impressive.
Such a great example too. Maybe I'm making too much of this, but I'm an English major and my mind thinks thematically and I make thematic comparisons. So Kendrick drops a pass. He had just dropped 3 in the previous game. Real easy for him to go in the tank, or for a quarterback to go over to him and be like, what the hell? You got to lock in, and just make it worse. But we know what Mac did. He didn't do that. He has a light, loose touch with players that worked in Kendrick Lamar's case, in Kendrick Bourne's case. Not only did he not lose belief in him, he went to him 11 times in the game, and he caught 10 passes and went for 140-something. It was the best game of his career. So Mac gets a lot of credit for that. And I'm not blaming Brock for Kendrick dropping 3 passes. All I know is 1 drop snowballed into 3 when Brock was quarterback. And maybe there was nothing Brock could have said to Kendrick in that day. But maybe that's the difference in leadership styles, that Brock's a little tight. Or maybe that's the wrong word. I don't know.
I don't even think it's an anti. I don't even think it's a negative on one or the other. I just think it for Mac Jones, who wasn't here until the summer and doesn't really have a relationship with too many of these guys. Now he does have one with Bourne that predates this, right? It goes back to New England, but I mean, it's tough to walk into another guy's huddle and kind of take it over and do it without, it's not, he's doing and saying all the right things. When he's asked about it, he's like, hey man, this is Mac's team. I brought here to be the backup. But then if you talk to the other players, they're like, you know what? There's a cockiness, there's a swagger, there's a a confidence about Jones that, he's not thinking himself as like, oh shucks, I'm lucky to be here. He's like, hey, I'm going to seize the moment and let's do this. So they're in a very fortunate position. They have an incredible, whoever's decision it was on the Niners side, if it was, to make it a 2-year deal instead of a 1-year deal, that guy probably deserves a raise because they either have a $7 million bargain for 26 or they have a very coveted trade piece. And some people have speculated to me in the last 24 hours that they would wind up trading a high day 2 pick, maybe for Trey Hendrickson, and then trading Mac Jones in the offseason to regain that pick back.
Yeah. Well, if Brock Purdy comes back and plays well, that's certainly an option. It's Nick for real says, how many yards will Baker bake Siegel for? Oof. Siegel, Stout, Winters all got roasted in this last game.
Mustafa maybe coming back.
Robert Wood says, when you sang Return of the Mac, it was second to none. I do like Brock, not a fan of the interceptions. I'd like to continue to see what Mac can do. And you will, because Brock is injured. All right,
a little interruption, but we will take a look at our sleeper lineup. This 49er football season, all season long on the Krug Show, is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy, where you choose 2 to 8 players, pregame or live, and pick more or less on their stats projections. If you're new to it, use promo code Larry. You're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. The link's right there in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's look at the Thursday nighter. Eagles take on the Giants at MetLife. Let's look at Dallas Goedert. I think Goddard's going to have an impact in this game. Let's go Dallas Goedert over the receptions. I think he gets at least 4 receptions, more than 3.5 receptions for Dallas Goedert. All right, let's go to Jackson Dart. Is Dart on the board? I think Dart for sure throws an interception in this game. There'll be a lot of pressure on Dart, and I like Dart. Where is Dart? There it is. Yeah, let's go with the interception. Half an interception. He'll go over more than that. So he's going to throw a pick. Let's go with the Jalen Hurts freebie. They're giving us a half yard. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that for sure. Wan'Dale Robinson. What's Wan'Dale looking like? I like him over in yards. It's 45.5 yards, receiving yards. So there we go. I could go Cam Scattaboo anytime touchdown, but let's go with this. Let's just go with this. All right. So we're going to bet $5 to win $19.30. There you go. So we need Dallas Goedert with at least 4 receptions. Jackson Dart's got to throw a pick. Wan'Dale Robinson's got to have 46 receiving yards, and Jalen Hurts has just got to play basically a half a passing yard. And if we win $19.30. Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. Links right in the description. Terms apply. He helps support the show and gets you rolling on the #1 sports app. We've been killing it. We've been winning every week. It's a ton of fun. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And once again, get a 100% match up to $100. Use that code Larry, Larry, simple enough. And once again, thanks to Sleeper for sponsoring the Krug Show.
Chargers have made a move. The Chargers are injured. The Niners are injured. The Chargers traded for an edge rusher. The Niners need an edge rusher. Who would you say is now the most realistic trade target for the Niners, given the fact that the Bengals just traded for Joe Flacco and don't seem to be throwing in the towel just yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Bengals would be the team that I would want to call, right? Because they have Trey Hendrickson and they also have Miles Murphy. and Murphy's a great athlete. And he's a big-bodied guy, and the Niners like bigger defensive ends. So I really like what Cincinnati has. So I'd like to call Cincinnati. To me, New Orleans makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think Granderson's from Oakland. Carl Granderson is an Oakland guy, so I think, or maybe he's a Sacramento guy. I think he's a Sacramento guy. Excuse me. He's a Sacramento guy.
I know every single person that lives in Oakland.
He's a NorCal guy. He went to Grant High School in Sac. And so I like Granderson and I like Gottschalk, and I think the 49ers could really use two players up front. One more run defender would be great. One more edge rusher would be great. I like that. I like that idea. I like going to New Orleans for Granderson and Gottschalk.
If they could get Trey Hendrickson, that would be great, but it would be tricky. You'd have to trade a second round pick, and then you'd probably have to trade Nick Bosa next year. And you could do all of that. You have to give this guy a huge extension. But I think they could also their defense is good right now. If they could get like another Bryce Huff, a guy that you don't really want starting and is kind of a one-trick pony, but he does give you some pressure off the edge. That's all they need. That's all they need. They don't need a 3-down player whatsoever. So I don't know who that guy is, but they should be able to find that player for $7-8 million.
Arden Key, is he that kind of a player?
I'd like more of an edge rusher, although any pass rusher would help, but it seems like he would be cutting into Michael's playing time role.
It's really difficult because I don't think there's going to be that many sellers. I mean, if you literally looked around, who's going to sell? Nobody in the NFC West is going to sell. If they are, they're not going to sell to the Niners. So take out the NFC West, take out the AFC West, because then none of those teams are going to sell except for the Raiders, and Mark Davis wouldn't sell to the Niners. So you can take out those 8 teams. And then the AFC South, Colts, Jags, Texans aren't selling. So it's maybe Tennessee. They have Arden Key. I'll tell you, the Jeffrey Simmons idea, I mean, that seems so unattainable. I'd rather have Jeffrey Simmons than Hendrickson. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is just an absolute monster inside, and you can rush him off the edge. He's like a Chris Jones. I mean, he literally is the closest thing in the NFL there is to Chris Jones. So I would definitely go knocking on their door, but I think and then, Tampa, Falcons, they're not going to sell. So maybe Panthers, Saints. Panthers don't have tons. Vikings, Packers, Lions, Bears. I don't see those teams selling, even though maybe one should. Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Ravens. I mean, the Ravens are the interesting team because they sold Oweh today to the Chargers. So maybe they're open for business, but maybe Miami with Jalen Phillips, maybe the Jets with 2 or 3 guys. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of sellers.
Jermaine Johnson, Jalen Phillips, those are.
I mean, the Jets make a lot of sense. Will McDonald would be a great get for the Niners because that's what you're talking about. You said they need a Bryce Huff. Will McDonald is a 24-year-old, 25-year-old version of Bryce Huff. So I'd be all about that.
And he's with the Jets. Robert Saleh coached them. It could work. They're going nowhere, and maybe they want to go in a different direction with some of Aaron Glenn's guys. It doesn't seem like the Jets are. Did you see that tweet from Saleh's brother?
No.
He was like,
what did he say?
It's been about a year since the Jets fired my brother because the quote-unquote best roster in franchise history needed a spark. Since then, they're 3-14 and they have the worst defense in football.
Right.
Yep.
They fired a defensive coach and replaced him with another defensive coach, and their defense is worse off.
That's a terrible franchise. I don't think anyone can succeed there.
No. Anyway. Woody Johnson, I mean, come on, man. I mean, that they're just, that's just some teams. It's just, it's going to take more than just a player or a coach. It's going to take literally, ownership regime change before they're going to cleanse themselves. And I think the Jets are one of those teams.
The Warriors were like that once upon a time.
Exactly. They were never going to win for Cohan. Ever.
No, absolutely not. Heavyweight Hank says, what do you think about the Niners trading for Njoku? I think
Njoku's a big, tough tight end who's a hell of a receiver. I've always felt like Njoku is a massive talent that has never played with a good quarterback and could really explode and be great. I think he's totally available because Harold Fannin Jr., the rookie, is getting a lot of targets. It's obviously they're going nowhere. Njoku's at that point where he could probably leave in free agency at the end of the year. If I could get Njoku, he was great with the Hurricanes. He's big. He's a blocker. He's a receiver. I mean, he would be a really nice. He's a blue chip athlete.
Yeah. All right. So that's the most realistic trade target on the D line. We talked about Njoku a little bit, but what about running back? I mean, no disrespect to Christian McCaffrey, having a great year, could go for 1,000, tough dude, still a great receiver, but I mean, 3 yards per carry is 3 yards per carry. All I know is Brian Robinson's averaging 4, so you can't put it all on the offensive line. The loss of Kittle, a lot of it is just Christian. He clearly doesn't have that same, I want to call it, burst through the line of scrimmage the way he used to. And I think the Niners, neither does freaking Brian Robinson Jr. He doesn't have any juice. So do you think they need another running back? Do they need to give Garendo a shot, Jordan James a shot? Do you trade for another guy? Or is the Christian Brian Robinson combo enough?
Well, I mean, first of all, football doesn't last long. You don't get forever. So it's like, for us to say that CMC's in decline, it's not like we're bashing him. It's life. It's the way it is. It's
the natural order of things.
It's the natural order of things. I mean, he's had a lot of carries. He's a great player. We have total respect for him, but it doesn't mean that he's not slowing down. Now, I don't know. I would put this more on the line in front of him, because I looked at the number. 1.47 yards is what McCaffrey's running before he's taking a hit. So he's not like he's running 2 or 3 yards down the field before he's taking a hit. So I don't think the line
hasn't played well, and Dominic Pony hasn't played well.
Yeah, I mean the entire line. I mean, they're show me the game that they ran effectively in. I mean, McCaffrey's a 2.5 yard a carry guy right now who's getting smoked consistently, and Brian Robinson's getting smoked. And as far as Garendo, I don't think Garendo's NFL. I think Garendo needs to be.
I think they feel the same way. Clearly,
I'd get whatever game you could showcase him, throw him 3 passes, let him show off that speed, and then hawk him. I would trade him because he's going to fumble. He can't be trusted. He's not what you're looking for. And I would pick up another back. I mean, they have a good feeling, I'm sure, about Jordan James. I'm not sure what to make of Jordan James. I saw him all summer. He had a couple nice practices where he really caught the ball well. I like his build. I mean, he's got a big, bulky build, and he looks like the way you want a running back to look. But I'm not convinced that he's good, and I'm really not convinced that Garendo's good. So, yeah, any running back that's out there that I thought could add some juice, especially if it was a running back with some speed, I would definitely look to add that player.
I want to see Jordan James. You traded Debo for this man. Debo's on pace for like 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. Jordan James hasn't gotten a look yet. You're not running the ball. What are you waiting for? Like, you did this with Jordan Mason. You made him sit on the sidelines for years behind Elijah Mitchell, who was done. And then he gets on. It's like, oh, no, he's actually a starting caliber running back. I want to see Jordan James. From what I saw of him in college, he runs really hard. And he hits the line of scrimmage with some velocity, which is exactly what the Niners need. I mean, I'm tired of watching Brian Robinson tiptoe around the field. Sorry, Brian. But he just tiptoes. He's a tiptoer, Larry.
I'll tell you who I want to see, who I think might be better than all these guys. I mean, I don't think he's better than CMC and Robinson, but I think he's better than Garendo and Jordan James, is Sincere McCormick. Sincere McCormick is in the Niner locker room right now. He's on the practice squad. He ran at Texas San Antonio. He had a good end of the year last year with the Raiders. He runs low to the ground. He's pretty quick. He's tough. He can take hits. He can move the pile. I like Sincere McCormick. To me, Sincere McCormick is more of a proven entity than Jordan James or Garendo at this point. Like if somehow the Niners didn't have CMC and didn't have Brian Robinson, I would start Sincere McCormick over those guys.
Sucker Free says, Grant and Larry, do you think Kyle should cut Isaac Garendo and snatch Corey Kiner from the Vikings practice squad? I do think it's weird that Corey Kiner is on the Vikings practice squad and not the Niners practice squad. How did that happen?
They did an injury settlement with him, and then he got healthy about 3 weeks ago, and the Vikings put him on their practice squad. And yes, I would. Corey Kiner doesn't have the athleticism of Isaac Garendo. Garendo's big, strong, fast, and impressive. Corey Kiner is the exact opposite. He's not big, strong, fast, but he's got great instincts, great contact balance, really, really tough. And he's been productive at the collegiate level where, something Garendo cannot say. So, yes, Corey Kiner is a better running back than Isaac Garendo in college and in the pros.
William Dillingham says, "Hey Grant, big fan. Do you and Larry think this is Trent's last year, and will next year's draft class have O-line depth for us to draft?" I'm not sure this is Trent's last year. We'll see.
I think it is.
Okay.
There was a play in this last game where the Ram defender jumped inside. He didn't get a finger on him. Didn't get a finger on him at all. Guy knifed inside. When somebody can jump inside of you and you can't get a finger, I mean, if they speed rush you and dip the shoulder and get the edge, it's like, I don't love it, but you know what? I get it. But if they can somehow dip inside of you and go untouched, that's not a good sign. So I think he's, come on. I mean, Father Time's undefeated. Eventually it was going to end. My guess is this is it. And this is a great tackle draft, by the way. It's a very good tackle draft. And I really like the kid from Auburn quite a bit. I think his name is, what is his name? I forget his name, but there's two tackles I really like. One's Jennings Dunker from Iowa, and the other is a guy who plays at Auburn, and I just saw him the other day, and he showed out to me, and I thought, Xavier Chaplin, who's expected to go 26 in the first round. The Niners right now, they're saying they're going to pick 30th. This guy, Xavier Chaplin, go watch this guy, 6'7", 340 pounds. He's a really, really good offensive line prospect.
As far as Trent goes, he's definitely not the player he was a couple of years ago, but he's still the highest graded player on the offense, according to Pro Football Focus. And he has a lot of money he can still make if he wants to keep playing. I don't know if he cares about money anymore. He's already a Hall of Famer. He might stick around if he thinks the Niners have a chance to win a Super Bowl. So that's where Mac Jones and Brock Purdy come in. I want to ask about Alfred Collins. When we saw him for the first time in training camp, he looked, at least to me, flat out awful. Like the worst defensive tackle on the team. Now, I mean, he might be the most improved rookie. Should we reassess our expectations for Alfred Collins, or like, what are your expectations for Alfred Collins' ceiling here?
Really high. I mean, really high. First of all, it's like anything else. It's like they're people first before they're prospects, and you got to know what kind of person you're dealing with. And he's a guy that, people that watch Texas said, man, he played big in big games. So he has the ability to rise up in the moment, but he's never had he's been a college kid. So I don't think he's had the strategy to hone out, to streamline his body. I don't think his diet's been right. I don't think his form's been right. He's a huge, long-legged guy, so he's always going to have to play with a bended knee and that kind of thing. That's always going to be vitally important. He got into a room with a great coach in Chris, a great mentor in Nick, and he went to Nick and he said, "Hey man, I want to be like you." And he's like, "Hey, well, you got to eat like me, you got to train like me, you got to work like me." And Alfred's like, I'll do it. So he's got a great attitude. He's improving by leaps and bounds. He's playing with a lot more leverage. That play that we're talking about that caused the fumble, he's being combo blocked away from the ball. He throws one guy away, splits it, and then dives over and still gets the paw. And with such force, it clubs the guy in the head and pops the ball loose, and he fell on it. I mean, that is just as good a play as you can make at that spot. He's got tons of potential. He's always going to have problems playing with leverage. But if, as long as he can keep working at it and work on his diet, I would say 2 years from now, like not next year, but the year after, he could be one of the best defensive tackles in the game.
I feel like the Niners have been looking for Chris Jones the entire time that Kyle's been here. I mean, they had to force Buckner, and Buckner wanted like $20 million a year. And I think the Niners' thought process was, who does he think he is, Chris Jones or something? So they let him go. They traded him. And then they lost 2 Super Bowls to Chris Jones. Really, in critical moments, they could not block that man. One of the better players of his generation, had a really bad play last night. But still, I mean, maybe a future Hall of Famer. I think when Collins came out, some people compared him to Chris Jones in terms of his frame and athleticism. The Niners even gave him Chris Jones' number, 95. I don't know that is going to be the highest paid defensive player on the team or in the league, but I kind of, if you squint really hard, you can kind of see it. He's big.
I mean, Chris Jones has a ferocity and an anger and that's just more. This guy's much friendlier and nicer, more adjusted.
I mean, he punched that guy in the face, Larry.
Yeah,
that was not nice.
It was not nice.
It's quite violent.
He's got a violent side to him, but Chris Jones is an absolute beast. But I will say this. I mean, Chris Jones plays so freaking hard. That's where, they tried for the Chris Jones thought with Hargrave, and they paid him a ton of money. It just didn't get that kind of an impact. I kind of think Simmons is a Chris Jones. I mean, they both played at Mississippi State. They're both super gigantic war daddies who can play defensive end. They can play defensive tackle. They're scheme versatile. They're pass rushers. And they're also just like on fire. Like, a guy like those two guys are just like, they're like the emotional leaders too. So, man, if I could get Simmons out of Tennessee, man, I think I would. That's
the thing with Chris Jones. He was sort of a late bloomer. I mean, he's a first round pick, hell of an athlete, but as a pass rusher, he never had more than 3 sacks in a season in college. And then with the Chiefs, his first year, he had 2 sacks, second year, 6.5, third year, 15.5. So I don't know if Alfred Collins will make it there, but it does seem like of all the rookies, he has improved the quickest, the most.
He looks great. And if you'd said to me in July, Alfred Collins would be the guy between Mikal and CJ and Alfred that would like really rise up in the next 6 weeks or few months or whatever, I would have said no way, because he looked so much like a fish out of water. But yeah, Collins is just he's gigantic. He's tough. He's hard to uproot out of there.
All right. Some players did really well against the Rams. Others didn't. D Winters was one of the others. I don't know what the Rams saw on film, because Winters had been having a really nice season. It's his first year as a real starter, and the Rams went after him relentlessly from the beginning of the game till the end. He gave up like 8 catches and 2 touchdowns, and it wasn't that he was like close. He was like out of the frame sometimes, with Fred Warner being like, dude, do you think the Niners should bench D Winters? Is it time to get a look at Nick Martin? Should they move Jair Brown over to being the nickel linebacker next to Fred? And what do you think they should do here?
Well, I think the first step is you got to make Nick Martin active.
Yeah.
Right. He hasn't even been active on any of the game days. So first, I think you got to do that, which means you're going to have to tell Curtis Robinson or Gilmore or one of those guys that, that they're not going to be up. So you got to feel good about him on special teams. So he's got to be suitable on special teams in the eyes of Brant Boyer, I think, to kind of check that box to get him on the field. But then, once you get him active on game day, then if you don't like what you're seeing from D Winters in a series, you could throw Nick out there. I mean, he's such an impact speed guy. His speed and athleticism are so off the charts. It feels like you're not really suiting up your best players. And I understand that Curtis Robinson and Gilmore and I understand these guys are known special teamers and that's the role that's available, but they're also, D Winters could go down and then those guys would have to go in. And I would rather have Nick Martin going in that situation than those two guys. So there's trade-offs either way. I'd like to see Nick Martin get active though, one of these games pretty soon. And then let's take a look. If D falls off blocks and is showing some of the problems he's had in the past, then maybe you throw Nick out there. I think Nick is better than D. And I think eventually he'll have a better career. Now, I don't know if he's better right now, but I think he's going to be better long-term.
I mean, if D's advantage is that he's more experienced and he's more assignment sound, like I didn't see that against the Rams. Like he was the one blowing coverage assignments. And I just feel like while he's been solid early in the season, he's been up and down throughout his career. And frankly, no one's scared of D Winters. And what's kind of disconcerting is that the Rams were like not only not scared of him, they circled him all week and went after him and made him a liability. Yeah, I would like to see what Nick Martin can do because he looks like a guy who is extremely violent and is going to hurt people. And I think this defense needs that.
Well, and also, I mean, what aren't the Niners doing well on defense? They're not taking the ball away enough. And I think Nick Martin has the ability to take the ball away with some of those starching hits and some of that impact speed. He's a big play waiting to happen. And it's like, you got to come up with a bet. I mean, 1 week, 2 weeks, you want to make him inactive for some special teams reason, that's fine. But your special teams coverage units are horrible. I want to see Nick Martin.
One more question. Should the Niners bench Upton Stout? I mean, they're going to bench Marquise Siegel when Malik Mustafa comes back, and Siegel could reestablish himself as a starter down the line. He's getting picked on in coverage right now. He's not quite ready. Diamador Lenore got picked on in coverage the first year or two of his career, so it happens. Upton Stout is sort of in that category too. People have been focused on Siegel's struggles, but Stout gave up 8 catches in this game, and he left with an ankle injury, or so they said, and Chase Lucas replaced him and didn't give up 8 catches. Do you think they should let Upton Stout rehab this ankle injury for a while and see what Chase Lucas has?
I mean, I really like Chase Lucas, but I think Upton Stout's quite a bit one of the best athletes on the whole team, and I love some of the things he's done so far. And there's, anytime you're going to have a young defensive back, there's going to be some bumps in the road, especially if you're going to play that nickel spot. You got the two-way break. You're a run defender. It's a really tough position, and they're asking a rookie to play a really tough position. I think he's playing well. I'll take the good and the bad. I think there's going to be significant market improvement as the year goes on. This is a difference-making player. That PI call that he got before he made the pick, that was kind of a, could have gone either way. I mean, he's just an impact guy with impact movement ability and toughness. To me, I'm not taking him off the field.
Okay, that's reasonable, and I'm not arguing with you. That being said, I'd have a quick hook, and I could always say it's his ankle, because I like Chase Lucas a lot, and he's not old, and I think that he might be an impact player too. He certainly was in the preseason. He was one of the first guys in on the tackle on that final play against the Rams. I think he's really good. And so if Stout holds his own and plays well, then keep him in there by all means, because he's the future. And I think he will be better than Chase Lucas. But right now, Chase might be better than him. And if Stout's struggling or the Bucs are going after him and he's matched up with Emeka Egbuka and it's not going well, I would go to Chase.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the Niners have a 5-alarm fire on their hands, because Baker is just completed 88%, and Egbuka is not just big and fast. He's also one of the best route runners the league has seen. So he's looking phenomenal. They're going to have to they're going to need everybody on all hands on deck to stop, Tampa, because Godwin's amazing. Egbuka's amazing. I mean, Tez Johnson's a really tough cover. Sterling Shepard's got great ball skills. I mean, they've got Jalen McMillan and Mike Evans down, and their receiving core is still a nightmare.
It's true.
It's going to be a tough game.
Maybe I'm just overreacting to the Rams game, because, Sean McVay is really good. They know the Niners defense as well as anyone. Matthew Stafford, hell of a player. And they had a game plan of who they wanted to go after. Clearly not Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore. Those guys were so good. So you got to go after other people. You want to stay away from Fred Warner. Everyone else has a target on their back. It's tough. Those are the lumps the Niners were talking about. Upton Stout, they're going to keep going after you, because he is really, as opposed to Winters, he's right there. It's just, he's a little small. He's a little handsy. Things happen, but he has a very bright future.
I think their top 3 corners are really, really good. I know Renardo had a couple bad games. Lenore is Lenore, but I like their top 3 corners. I feel very confident with their top 3 corners. It's just when you get into the depth a little bit, I get a little bit more concerned.
Well, the problem for Upton is that Renardo played so well against the Rams, and Lenore's been playing so well for 2 or 3 years that they got to go after you, man. It's got to be you. So trial by fire, you're going to get a lot of opportunities. It's just that last week it was Stafford, and this week it's Baker. It's the week after, Michael Penix. You could do all right in that one, but this is going to be a tough one. Upton.
This is that Atlanta game is going to be tough too. If remember this, what game did the Niners look the worst the last few years? It was that Cincinnati home game. Why do they look so bad? Because they were like -13 in rest differential. I think that sets up for Atlanta as well. I think they have the bye week. I think Atlanta's going to roll in fully rested. So that's going to be a tough game.
No, actually, I think Atlanta's coming off the bye week right now, and I know that because Kyle Pitts is on my fantasy team. Sorry.
Okay, so wait, so when do they play this week?
They
I thought they had a
play-
rest advantage. Maybe
I
it's the
think
next.
they
game.
just had their bye week this week. They didn't play this Sunday.
So they play. Do they play Thursday?
I'm not sure when they. Let's see. Let's see. There must be something
I
there.
thought there was some advantage. I thought they had some advantage
Do they
coming
play
into
Thursday?
this one.
Let's see.
Yeah, they do. No, they don't.
Play
No, they
Monday.
don't.
So the Niners have the advantage here.
Oh, the Niners have the advantage. Maybe it's the week after.
Maybe it's the week after.
Maybe it's the week after.
All right. Well, look, that's an hour and two. This has been just a Hall of Fame caliber version of Cohn and Krueger, Krueger and Cohn, whatever you want to say. Next week, back on Krueger's channel. So make sure you subscribe, like to both of ours. And thanks for watching. Larry, thanks for being here and holding down the show while my whole house fell apart. That's pretty much what happened.
Good to see you. We'll see you at practice.
Peace.